Good afternoon. Today is Friday, September 16th, 2011. I am speaking with Dr. Swapan Gayen, Professor of Engineering at City University of New York, at City College. I'm speaking to him here in New York City. Dr. Gayen, tell me, when people ask you, what's your desh? What do you say, what is your desh?
Bangladesh.
And desh means down from the village. So what do you say more? When other Bangladeshis say, where is your desh, is Bangladesh, and then what do you say?
I say, okay, yeah, this my village home is in Fulbury, which is in the, now they call it Upazila, which is in the Upazila of Rajwe.
Upazila means sub-district of Rajwe.
No, it is basically, sub-district of Rajwe.
Yeah.
Which used to be, in old days, used to be called
police station. It is still police station, but they use both, you know. And then, what's the name of the village?
Fulbury.
Fulbury. How far is it from any big Rajwe or from Madaripur?
From Madaripur, it would be about...
It's in Madaripur district, right?
It is now in Madaripur district.
Yeah,
so it is about 18 to 20 miles from Madaripur.
So,
and similarly from Gopalganj, it is 18 to 19 miles.
So how did you used to go? How did you used to travel?
From
either Madaripur or Gopalganj, let's say Madaripur.
You mean now or
before and now?
Nowadays, you can get there. Basically, there are buses that go by, and also there are some private auto rickshaws and so on. So you can take those. But in old days, like when I was growing up, that was really a lowland, and during rainy season, you had to go by boat from the nearest launch station, which is in Joliet Park.
How far is Joliet Park from
Joliet Park is about 3 miles.
3 miles. How would you go to Joliet Park?
As I said, during
rainy
season,
days?
you had to take the boat.
Okay.
And in
dry season?
Dry season, you have to walk.
Just walk. Okay.
That used to be the case. Now you have.
Now you can go up to Fulbury by car or by
Now you can go to Fulbury by car.
By bus, how do you go? Where do you get off? If you could take a bus from Madaripur?
Not Madaripur, I think go to Tekerhat.
Okay.
And then from Tekerhat you can get some of those
tempos, or
and things like that.
Okay. So now tell me about the village. How is the village like? How was the village like? How was your home? Was it a big building, small building? Tin shed, mud hut, whatever was the how was the building?
It is a good question, because it is somewhat different. If you look at that area, that used to be, and it still is, lowland.
Okay.
And basically, starting early in the rainy season, the land would go under water. Okay. And so all the houses that used to be built at a lot higher level than the ground. Okay. And there would be areas, the house is not like individual house. There would be
cottages like.
There would be many houses in one area, and this whole area would be raised. Okay. So it could be 8 feet or even higher.
Okay. And was it in stilt? They were built in stilt, or they were built in earthen plinth?
Well, the plinth first, if you look at like the base, that is, you are comparing it to the ground level. Okay. Then it is 6 to 8 feet. Okay. And this is the whole area. Okay. There may be some 50 houses. Okay. And there may be, say, if you count all the elderly people, younger ones, and the kids, there would be 500, 600 people in one of those houses. Okay. I mean, one of those locations. Okay. And so let me give you an example. Like, say, my last name is Gayen. Yeah. So this would be called a Gayen household or Gayen-ISPaD. And there would be like, go back 5-6 generations will be living in there. So there are like
extended families.
So there would be, say, 50-60 families basically in their individual units, if you like. And total, as I said, 500 to 600 people. So that is one household, say Gayen-ISPaD or Gayen household. Yeah. Say take another like that, which is a Shardar-ISPaD household or Bishar-ISPaD household. And you have 3 or 4 of those, that would constitute a village.
Okay.
Yeah. And during winter season, of course, you could go from one house to another, or just by walking.
Yeah.
But rainy season, about 4 to 5 months, at that time you had to go from one house to another house. You had to have boats. As in America, a family has to have at least 2 cars. There you had to have 2 boats.
Yes.
So,
even to go to school, you needed that.
Oh yeah. In fact, my father, he used to tell me that when he was going to high school, he used to row his boat. It used to be a small dinghy. And he would go there, he'll row for half an hour or 45 minutes, go there,
put the boat
by the side.
What about you when you went to high school? Did you have to do that?
No, because I did not really grow up in my village home.
Okay.
My father used to work for the government, so wherever he was posted, the family lived there, and I went to school there.
So, but you had an extended family there, Gayen family there.
Oh yeah.
And do you still somebody live there?
Yeah, as I said, it is basically like if we go back, we can trace back like from my grandfather time, if I trace back. So then my grandfather, he had 2 other brothers, so they are all living there, and their children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, so they are all there. So some have moved out, some are still there.
Okay. So how many brothers and sisters you had?
You mean in my nuclear family?
In nuclear family.
Okay. Yeah, I have a big family. I have 5 brothers and 3 sisters, including me.
That's not very big by that time. Okay. And so all of them have migrated out of Fulbari, or?
Well, I should not say migrated because they never were there.
Okay. Oh, they were never there.
But
now,
we used to go back. If you talk about our permanent address, that is what we said, Fulbari. Okay.
Now,
but my father moved from one place to another during his service, so that is where we are.
What's the name of father?
Kumud Bandhu Gayen.
And what about your mother?
Nomita Gayen.
And was she working outside, or she was working?
No, my mother was a housewife.
Housewife, okay. Now, what did you go to school? How did you, when you grew up, where did you go to school?
Well, I started schooling a little later. I did not go in the 1st grade. I started in 5th grade, and that my father was at that time posted in Borishal. I went to Brojamohan Brojamohan High School.
Brojamohan High School in Borishal city, Borishal town, okay.
So that is how I started. But then within 2 months, my father was transferred to Bhola. So then I moved to Bhola
Island.
And then I basically went to school there. But again, that was for a short time.
Okay.
If I have to say consistently when I started going to school, that is when my father was transferred to Bhandaria, which is also in Borishal.
Okay.
In fact, now it is in Pirozpur district.
Yeah.
So luckily, my father was there from 1963 to beginning of 1968. So I could do my high school education there.
So, and that same thing happened to your other brothers and sisters too. They were also plucked out of every school, going to another school.
Exactly.
Like that. So what did you do after high school?
Well, after high school, my father got transferred to Khulna.
Okay.
So I went to the government. By the time I finished my high school, which is like the 10th grade there, secondary school certificate exam.
Okay.
Then I went to the college there, which is known as Government Brojolal College. It goes more by BL College, and there are reasons for that. But
what would be the reason?
Well, generally, if the names that are associated with it, Government Brojolal, so
Hindu, because it's Hindu name?
It's a Hindu name associated with it, and generally
I have heard that from Mohammed Singh also.
Yeah, Mohammed Singh it is AM College.
AM College, or
Borishal it is BM College,
but not the whole thing. Not Brojamohan, whole thing. Not Brojamohan, not Ananda Mohan. It's another form of weird kind of a discrimination, whatever you may call. And that's what I have been told by other people. Now, after high school, where did you go to college?
That is what I said. Government
college there,
college.
And then from
but
there.
There I did my higher secondary, which is like
IA.
12th grade here.
You finished IA there.
Yeah.
IA. And then what did you do?
Then I went to Dhaka University and I studied physics. Honors in physics, and then I got my master's. By the way, in your introduction you mentioned I'm a professor of engineering. That's not the case. I'm a professor of physics.
But you're in the engineering school, right?
No. That is the City University of New York City College. That has all the science and engineering.
Oh, I see. No, but they also have a separate engineering school, right? I thought, because I know some people go to engineering school. But anyway.
No, there is engineering school, separate engineering school, and they have all these departments. Electrical, chemical, civil.
But you're in the physics.
I'm in the physics.
So what did you do physics in Dhaka University? You finished your...
I finished my BSc honors, bachelor honors and masters.
Okay.
And then I came to United States for higher education.
Where did you do your doctorate?
University of Connecticut.
Connecticut. Stores.
Stores.
Stores, okay. Very nice. So, how many generations your family had lived there? Do you know? Any idea?
As far as I know, I think they have been lived there for
forever.
As much as I know.
Yeah, forever.
As long as I know.
So, now tell me, how did you grow up? When you grew up as a minority, was the life just idealistic, or were there any quirks in your development when you grew up? How, as especially you are a minority Hindu in a Muslim majority nation, did that ever come to your mind that you are a minority?
Well, see, my father was a government officer there, so he had his respect, and myself and my brothers and sisters all were related, supposedly good students.
Okay.
So I did not feel much of a discrimination in that way. I had very good friends who were happened to be Muslims.
Yeah.
And they would come to my house sometimes, to study together, to seek help in homeworks and so on. So as a whole, I did not personally feel that, but I knew that, there are those issues there.
From other people, or from hearsay, or just...
Well, from other people, and then, there would be, like, say, some of these discriminatory practices would be more in the rural areas, in the villages, where it also depends on, how active people were, what the level of education was, how much people were vocal, how much they could assert themselves. All of those, it's a complicated issue, and all of those got compounded together.
So, as you grew up, have you ever faced any, or have you ever seen any discrimination, or any riots, or any violence, or anything that comes to your mind? Because people often...
I have not faced it directly, but I know that in the early 1960s, there were some tension in some parts, but I don't recollect.
But one was in 1964, Hazrat Bal killing. But that your family wasn't affected, or you're very young then.
No, my family was not affected. I knew about I was 63, 64, so I was in like a 7th grader at that time. Okay. I know there were all sorts of meetings and so on, but none was that much directed where I lived in Westbury. Not
Westbury
directed.
is a very small town, relatively.
Small town, and it was not directed
there.
Along that.
What about in 1971? How was the life like in 71?
Oh, that was totally different. In fact, basically, it was an interesting time. Let me put it this way, that all these movements that then East Pakistan went through, all the student movements and so on. And that may be another reason, going back to your question, that, how come I did not feel that much discrimination and so on. If you look at those who are living, except for, villages, or there were properties and there were other people interested in grabbing that property. Other than that, in these schools and colleges, there was sort of in absence of any other word, let me put it, a secular atmosphere that flourished from these nationalistic aspirations that the people of East Pakistan had. Okay. So, even though Pakistan was an Islamic country, and in East Pakistan for a long time this Muslim League was in power and so on, but these progressive movements were going on, the student movements were going on, so the 6-point movement, 11-point movements, those are the ones that were still going on there. So if you like, the common enemy was like the West Pakistani government, or that whole West Pakistan establishment. And as a result, in schools and colleges, we did not feel that much of a discrimination. So we grew up in a relatively secular
tolerant
time.
Okay. And what about in 71, you were saying?
Now, in 71, then what happened is that, I was a student of Dhaka University at that time. And we just started, we got towards the end of 1970, that is when we entered the university. Then we went back, there were this Eid and Puja vacation and so on, and then we came back, and the classes started, it was in January, and then by March 7th, all hell broke loose.
Okay.
But going back to your question, so basically what changed? Now, in Dhaka University, it's pretty much a residential university. More than, at that time, at least 70 to 80% of the total student population used to live in the different dormitories. And there is a dormitory especially for minority students, meaning Hindus and Christians and also the Buddhists and tribal people. There was another dormitory where also minorities could stay, but there were both minority students and majority students.
Mixed.
So that was mixed. But majority of these minority students used to live in Jagannath Hall. And so I was there. So basically Pakistan Army, when they actually, I don't know, it looked like they believed, if you, unless you find out the story from the behind, they sort of thought that, Jagannath Hall was like a place where there were lots of arms, and maybe India was doing something in there, agitating and so on. But there was no basis for that. And in fact, when they attacked Jagannath Hall and they started, killed students there indiscriminately, there was not a single resistance that came from there.
Yeah. No, were you there on that night? Because
no, I was not there on that night.
The killing started, Bangladeshi killing started from there. That was the first attack.
That's right. Jagannath Hall, and the other is, it used to be called at that time,
Jinnah. Jinnah.
No, not Jinnah. That used to be, this is the hall where all the student leaders used to stay.
Anyway, so there was, you were not there at that night.
I was not there at that time.
Because
that was, basically I wanted to be there, but
somehow luckily
I just
I know people who got killed, who got trapped there. So then what happened? How did you there? So then what happened? How did you survive? How your family survived 71?
Well, so basically my father was posted at that time in Joshua. And my grandmother, my mother's mother, she basically, I was in Dhaka at that time. She sent a telegram to the provost of the dormitory that try to. First, she thought that I would be going to Gopalganj. I did not go, and then she sent a prepaid telegram to the provost asking about my whereabouts, mentioning which room I was staying and so on. And provost replied that the student is not there, so she got very upset. So she went to Joshua. I at that time was.
Where was your grandmother living?
Gopalganj.
Oh, she went from Gopalganj.
Gopalganj, right.
Okay.
And what happened to me is my father's close friend, he basically told, no, you cannot be in the dormitories, come back and baggage to my house. And he noticed that I was hesitant. So he said, no, you cannot be there. I used to call him Chasajan. He passed away.
What's his name?
Samsul Alam Khan.
Okay.
So basically I went and stayed with them for a while.
It's a Muslim family.
Muslim family.
Yeah.
And then what happened is that he felt that the situation may go wars. So he sent his wife and other small children back home. He said, Swapan, you and I can stay here.
Okay.
But then my grandmother went to where my father was in Joshua and said, oh, no, just tell him to come.
Okay.
So my father then, sent me a telegram. I went back. And
you went back to Joshua?
Joshua.
Okay. What was this was before the crackdown?
This was before the crackdown.
Okay. Okay.
And then my grandmother said, okay, let's all go to Gopalganj.
Okay.
But my father said, no, I'm a government employee at this point, I cannot go. And this is again before the...
What department your father was working?
Cooperative.
Okay. All right.
So then basically three, including me, with three brothers, accompanied my grandmother, and we went to
Gopalganj.
Okay. My father and the rest of the family was in Joshua.
Okay.
On 26th of March, when the army cracked down, remember that there is a cantonment in Joshua.
Yeah.
And basically that cantonment was built during the British period to protect Calcutta at that point. So that was, and there were basically, my father was in the cooperative department, and the MP who was in charge of the cooperative department who was overseeing it was
Member of Parliament.
Right.
Okay.
He was Roshan, I forget the full name. So he was there, and then there was another gentleman, Moshur Rahman. Those are the two MPs from Joshua.
Okay.
And it so happened that our house was very close to the MP Roshan's house, and they came that night, to talk to my father, and said, let me have some pan.
Okay.
And they got, and then they left, and after a couple of hours, there was this crackdown. Roshan, he could go back to, the other side, West Bengal, but Moshur Rahman was killed by Pakistani army at that point.
At
that night.
Oh, that night. So what happened to your family and your village?
So then my father stayed there for a few days, and then, see, at the beginning also the idea was that basically, this comes from inexperience. People felt that, the army is going to surrender and everything is going to be,
all right.
right within a few days. And, there would be people who had their sticks and, maybe a little shotgun and so on, and they felt that, they were encircling the cantonment.
Okay.
But then at one point after 3-4 days, they basically came out of the cantonment with their guns and everything. So at that point, my father left, went to a nearby village, which was a few miles away. We had a relative there. But then it turned, it looked like that situation is going to get worse. Then the rest of the family came to basically Gopalganj first. Mm-hmm. We stayed there for a while, but then basically army started cracking down, and then they were basically dispersing to remote areas. Mm-hmm. And then it was clear that they're going to attack Gopalganj and so on. So my village home, which used to be in a very
remote, Fulpur?
Fulbari.
Fulbari.
It used to be a very remote area, and also far away. Communication was not good at that time. So basically we went there, and we stayed there for quite a while.
So
now you want me to continue how things went? Okay. Yeah. So basically what happened is Gopalganj was at that time was the subdivision town, but you have to realize that Sheikh Mujib comes from there.
Yeah.
So that used to be a hot spot. Yeah. Another reason was the political figure from Muslim League who was prominent there was Mr. Wahiduzzaman. And he used to be the commerce minister in Pakistan, in the central government. Okay. And he lost very badly and very poorly to the Awami League candidate. He was not even a known person in the 1971 election. And he felt that one of the reasons for that he did not win was that Hindus did not vote for him.
Oh.
Okay. So, and he wanted to teach Hindus a lesson. That is what we have told.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was one. And then there is Tekerhat, that is another area. Now, if you go from Tekerhat to Gopalganj and you look at the demographics, even today, the Hindus in that part would would be probably a good majority.
Good majority.
And at that time, it was mainly
all in the area.
Hindu areas. So basically, army had two camps. One was in Gopalganj, another was in Tegarhat. And they used to start out on gunboats in the morning, and then they would start burning all the villages.
Really? They set on fire?
Set on fire, yes.
Oh.
And in fact, there was a mission, and there still is a mission, and that's a very old mission. I don't know how long, how far back it goes. That is in Jolirpur.
Okay.
And what they used to tell this father of that mission, that we are now burning the nests of the birds, and then when the time comes, we are going to kill them.
You mean this is a Christian mission?
This is a Christian mission.
I thought there was a Hindu
no,
mission.
No, this is a Christian mission.
I see.
Okay. So basically what we would do, so these will go on. They will come out in the morning around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and then they will continue till say 4:30, 5, and then they would go on their gunboats. And basically from where we are living, as I pointed out, that from the river banks, we are like about 3 miles into the interior. Yeah. So they had to into the interior. Yeah. So they had to come, and along the line they would burn all the villages.
Really?
Okay.
What happened?
So what we would do is like in the afternoon, during the day we did not see it that much, but in the afternoon we would stand by like the district board road, and those who I pointed out that we used to live where my father lived, but these other my cousins and other villagers, they were there, so they knew. So they would see the smokes, the smoke would come up and cover the whole sky, and from the smoke they would say, oh, okay, they burned such and such village today. Oh, well, this looks like the fire, the smoke that is rising up. It is from another village. Yeah. So basically, we could sort of feel, one could estimate what time it would take them to reach our village. Okay, and that was the time when it was just the beginning of rainy season, and water level started rising. So that was the time when we could be on the boats.
Okay.
So we packed our things in the boat, and then we knew like from 2 or 3 days from when we thought our village would be burnt, we would start taking the boat. In the morning we'll go away, live. That was the time when the paddy and other
jute
things are basically growing.
Yeah.
So you would just go in, stay inside, and then in the evening come back.
So inside you'd be taking shelter inside this paddy field.
In the paddy field in water,
or other crops. Hiding inside the farms.
Yeah. Okay. So the day our house was burnt, that was like we started in 4 o'clock in the morning. We went near this paddy field, and in fact we went further down within the field, and so around 11 o'clock or so they started burning our house. And what they used to do is they used to spray some incendiary and then set the house on fire. The houses mainly used to be tin sheds, and then on the sides you could have either tin or wood. Okay. And in our house, in this Gayen household, there were 52 different tin shed houses. Okay. Only one survived, and that used to be basically what we call goal ghar. You keep the cows there.
Cow shed, yeah.
So it had a shed, but there were no sides. Okay. And it was in one side of the
extreme side of the
on the extreme side.
52 buildings were burned just in your home.
That was burned down. Yeah. And not only that, what they did at that time, this we could see. What they did at that time, not only did they burn the houses, then they started, shooting at the people, knowing that there may be people in the paddy fields and so on. That particular day, as you know, what happens in those areas, even inside the field, they make some ponds. Okay. And they make those ponds because during the
dry season,
you have to get water from there. So, they can store some water there. So we, at that particular time when they were brush firing, we basically were inside that pond.
Hiding yourself in the pond?
Inside the pond.
Just the head up.
Head up.
Yeah,
head up. Oh, and the boats that basically we had our belongings, just the ones that you really need.
Yeah.
Those, my cousins basically sank the boat so that they cannot come and burn.
Put it underwater.
Put it underwater.
Okay. Oh my God.
With all the stuff.
Yeah. So how did you recover? That means after when you.
Well, so
at night when you went
that
back?
day in the evening we came back, and basically we could see that everything has been burned down, and it is interesting because when I used to go home, I mean my village home, the elderly relatives would tell, this house, when first corrugated tin came, British introduced corrugated tin in then India, that is when your grandfather, built this house. So this is, this goes back, so many years. And everything was basically burned down to the ground level. So that night I came in and I saw my Jetha, that meaning my father's elder brother. Land and houses, that meant so much to them. After all this day, I remember him, he came in and he took some pitcher trying to get water and was pouring it on these burnt out pillars. And that is what, seeing him, then we started doing it. But anyway, by that time we were exhausted, we did not eat anything. So that night, basically, some rice was boiled, some vegetables were put in there. We just ate it and then slept under open sky.
Open sky. How many days did you survive like that?
Well, so basically what happened is it went on like that. We were hiding for some few more days, but then we knew that they have burnt this area and they're not going to come back anytime soon. So then they moved away. At that point, what we did is we took all those burnt tins and basically we made sort of triangular shaped. You can think of it as a tent, but tent made of this burnt tin.
Like a teepee with two.
Right, exactly. So, and we lived there another 2-3 months. Oh. And basically, there are some other developments at this point. If you go back and look at the whole history of what happened in Bangladesh, you will see that in some places, military Pakistani army started, annihilating these homes, burning down homes, or killing people at the beginning. Yeah. But later on, they had their collaborators, and there are two groups, one known as Rajakars and the others who are more fundamentalist.
More Islamic collaborators.
These are all others. So, even though I pointed out that most of the villages around our house, around our village are Hindu villages, there are a couple of Muslim villages, and in an interesting way, there was one village that was pretty good. They tried to protect and help Hindus and did not become collaborators of this Pakistani army. But then there are another village from which there are some collaborators. And so basically, my father happened to be first graduate from that area. And he was a government servant, so they knew about him. And they also knew that I was a Dhaka University student and so on. So some of these people would come and they start inquiring about why is my father not going back and joining the government, and where am I, and so on. So we could feel that our life may be at risk, and that is when we decided that we have to move out from our village home. And basically there are no other place to go to, so we have to cross the border and be refugee in India.
Where did you go? So you went to India?
We went to India.
What area? What border?
That was in the 24 Parganas, the Benapal.
How did you go there?
Oh, that took a while. Basically what we did is we started out from our village home. We took a boat, went to a nearby place. Then we walked, and then we took boat, and we walked. So it took about a week or so to reach.
The whole family. How long did you stay there? What do you remember? What month did you go to reach India?
If I remember right, it was in June.
June.
And then we were there until
Liberation.
So
when you came back, were you able to? Was there any government gave you help to build your house or anything?
No.
You just to start by yourself.
That's right.
So generations of your assets were gone, and then you had to start from minus.
Exactly.
Yeah. So was there anybody hurt? Any injury? Any death in your area?
Oh yeah, there were. The day they burned down our village, I think there are a couple of deaths there. Yeah, those are, I think, one elderly person in one house felt that they won't do anything to an elderly person, but
he was killed. So it must be a distant relation, all Gayens.
No, I think, but yeah, neighbor.
Clan. Okay.
And then there was a person. It was not as a result of any direct attack on us, but at that time, during that period, we had one reason that we also waited that long till June, because my mother was expecting, and we had a brother born at that time.
Born in your village itself?
In your village, my village.
Okay.
And basically when he was 7 days old, that is when we had to move. Okay. Because, our life, toward the end, I told you about that one house at one corner that got saved. So I used to take a ladder, go up in there, and there are lots of, that is one time when I got to read a lot of scriptures, Ramayana, Mahabharata, Purans, those were there. So whole day I will be there reading, and they would take the ladder away, and then in the evening, then I will come out. And I was not sleeping in the same place in different times.
Did your cows and pets were saved, or they were also injured or killed?
Pardon?
Your cows or animals that you had.
Those are more or less saved because those are dispersed in the.
And when you came back, you were able to find them.
Well, basically, what happened is not everybody from my village home left. Okay. Say about 50% left, and other 50% stayed around. Okay. So
they were okay. Now, so have you gone back to visit your village Pulbari after you came to United States?
Oh yes.
You go there on a regular basis. How does it feel like to be back your home?
Well, over this period, things have changed. In the sense that people slowly and gradually try to build. Okay. So they have built their villages, and basically still. And then, number of people have grown. There are other families where they have some of them got educated, working outside and so on.
Yes. So. Now, have you ever thought why minority Hindus in Bangladesh, vast majority couldn't stay? They fled to India, whereas minority Muslims in West Bengal were able to stay. Very few migrated to Bangladesh. Why is this contradiction? It's a West Bengal is a Hindu majority and Bangladesh is Muslim majority, but both are Bengali. So.
This is a interesting question. I think, and I don't know if I can give you a clear-cut answer, but I can, try to look at some of the factors that I think it is. One is, as a whole, I think Muslims try to fight more for their right. Hindus don't do as much. Japalayati Shajibati, that is one of the principles. Okay. But that is not the whole story. I think as a whole, Pakistan started out as an Islamic country, and the government policies. So when you say start out, this is an Islamic country, and Hindu. Not that everybody is trying to be a president, but when you legislate that no non-Muslim can be a president, that sets the tone.
And it's your own land. You're the indigenous people.
That's right.
I mean,
in your own land. So that contributed, and then there were all these. Not in so much in my village home, because as I said, those are mainly Hindu populated. But in many areas, what happened is that okay, you have your property, and basically, in some way, the life would be made difficult, so that Hindus had to leave or sell their property.
But that was not true in West Bengal.
I don't know that much about West Bengal, but as much as I know that the government there was more proactive, and it was not a they did not say that this is a Hindu state or a Hindu government. They talked about a secular. And then other thing you have to remember that India was a democracy from the very beginning, so people's voice meant something.
Okay.
And in Bangladesh, the experiment of democracy was not that,
All right. Now, do you know anybody benefited because of partition? That is Hindus, Muslims, East Bengalis, West Bengalis, with these Christians. Any group or anybody benefited because of division of partition of Bengal?
Again, that is a hard question, and I have asked that question sometime even to my Muslim friends. And some of those who I know migrated from West Bengal to East Bengal, and there are some who are even very close. Some of my close friends, like their family migrated from India to then East Pakistan, now Bangladesh. Now, the reason I say that this is a hard question is that we don't know what would have happened if the country stayed together. Okay. Of course, Muslims in East Bengal or now Bangladesh, they have done well. They have an independent country. So do I, independent country. And in terms of education or their jobs, all this, they have done very well. And a good comparison would be then to see how the Muslims in West Bengal have done on average compared to how Muslims in Bangladesh has done.
Sure.
And I don't know if anybody did a comparative study like that. So, my answer to your question is that I cannot tell.
Probably not in education, but in politics probably, but not in education. May not be in business also. Okay.
So that is one. Then the other thing is, but so I don't know whether there is benefit in that respect. But of course, some people, were displaced. A lot of people went to, especially from Bangladesh. Many Hindus went in there, and then some settled in West Bengal, but many went to some other throughout India, and some have not fared that well.
No, perished.
So, it is a tragic situation. Sure. Generally, when you have to give up your land, and many of those, especially from East Bengal, who went, there are two classes. One was, the educated group, and who were educated even at that time. Mm-hmm. When they left, well, they mainly chose where they wanted to live. Many were in West Bengal and in some other places. So they are professionals. They are okay. But then if you talk about, the real peasants, the real masses, they did not have a choice. And so their life has been very different.
Okay. Now, can Hindus and Muslims live together?
Yeah, I think they can live together.
Okay.
Because, and I make that observation by knowing that, I have lived with most of my friends. I grew up in Bangladesh. Most of my friends are Muslims. But, when I say that, this is a qualified statement. And if you look at it, that religion gets used to further political goals. If we look at, who is called the father of Pakistan, Jinnah, he was not basically a devout Muslim or anything, but he used Islam to further the political ends. And as long as that happens, and we don't have a civil society to fight strongly against it, then there would be problems. But, I think the people, basically, if you look at, it's the same, there is no racial difference or anything. I believe they can live together.
Okay. We are almost at the end. Is there anything that I didn't ask you want to say? Is there something that I didn't ask? Something comes to your mind? Anything? Or if nothing, that's fine.
Well, one thing I think what I have seen I should not say I have seen, I hear, and I see the result of that in West Bengal, is that in West Bengal Muslims are active politically, active socially, and if I remember right, in one of the recent elections, the members of West Bengal Parliament, that is about 30% Muslims. Hindus, in that respect, I would say in Bangladesh, they are not as participating and don't engage as much. And I think that is something they should be doing.
But they're participating. But I thought their number of people who vote is very high amongst Hindus. But maybe the political parties are not nominating them, or they are not winning them. That may be something else.
That is, of course, once I made that observation, I have to also look at why that is the case. And if we look at that, then, there are other factors. Even though we are, like this participation also comes from a sense of belonging. And like, I know people are very euphoric when in 1971 we said, okay, this is a secular country and our 4 pillars are, socialism, democracy,
nationalism,
secularism,
nationalism.
and nationalism. So those are the 4 pillars. So, okay, everybody felt that, we are all equals. Of course, nobody were under the illusion that as long as there is a question of majority and minority, it is going to be all equal. But we felt that everybody, things are going to be in the right direction. But then things changed. Sheikh Mujib was killed. Another government came. Islam was made the state religion. So in some sense things did not change. And some would even argue that people, as I pointed out earlier, that growing up in the late 60s, we did not feel as much discrimination because we were fighting against the common enemy. And now we are, Muslims, I have heard sometimes even from very progressive, who talk about them as progressive people, they would say that, oh yeah, if the Hindus left, then probably things would be a lot better.
Okay, that's true. Thank you. That would be the last word, but the sad one. Thank you. Thank you for your time, Professor.
Okay, thank you for having me.